Today's video, we're going to talk about marketing conversion rates. What's the average conversion rate that you should be able to expect and get from your remarketing campaigns? And what makes actual money? Does a 0.1% conversion rate on a remarketing ad on Google, on Facebook, and the like make money? Or do you need like a 5%? All of that kind of little bit depends on obviously what you're selling. You could be selling entire manufactured houses for $100,000 each, and a 0.1% conversion rate's amazing already. Or you could be selling $5 stickers and you're going to need a 10 to 15% conversion rate to even make any money at all. And still need to be able to take that customer and make them buy again to get your money out of what it costs to get them in the first place. So with that said, I'm going to put this into perspective for you as best as I can to cover all the different situations that you may be in, different business niches that you may be in. I'm going to go over the remarketing results we got for a med spa, given just like with what you should be doing, and I'm going to talk about this in detail in this video, you should be doing your remarketing in layers, a layered remarketing strategy. Because the more engaged that the user that you've paid for to get to your site or got through some other traffic source like Google Organic, the more likely they are to convert. And therefore, you should be spending a higher percentage of your overall ad budget on the people that are more engaged because they're more likely to convert, and or being a pain and segmenting your strategy, given that somebody who doesn't get to a certain level of engagement just may not be profitable for you to go ahead and target with your ad campaigns at all, like we had with Med Spa. So I'm going to go into detail how that went, and this will give you some really good perspective on what you should be expecting on your campaigns. And not only that, but furthermore, just how to do remarketing the right way, because so many people mess this up. A lot of people don't even think remarketing works. They just think if people don't buy the first time they hit their site, they can just basically go themselves. And the reality is you don't buy that way. The average person doesn't buy that way. And the more expensive of whatever it is that you sell and or more complicated, the more that they don't just buy on the first visit to the site like you expect them to. You got to do some massaging of that person in order to get them the rest of the way there. And if you don't, you're just simply going to throw half or more of your money away, literally speaking, because we've tested these type of things before, taken out remarketing, the ROI of the ad budget we did with, and without it, you can basically double the amount of sales you can get adding remarketing in because of something called the power of sevens in marketing, which says you'll make more money advertising to fewer people more times than, more people, but only once. That is, assuming you're talking about, again, something complicated, something expensive, because if it's a damn broken toilet, you ain't gonna care whether or not you sell a remarketing ad for that service. And for that matter, you either call right away when you get to the site or you don't, and that's pretty much it. On the flip side, if you are selling the manufactured house, you are not going to buy on the first visit, like almost for sure, and you're going to go check around real well, do all your research, then you're going to make your decision. Whoever does the best follow-up, I promise you, is going to get that sale. I promise you. We know this at our agency. That's why we do remarketing on every campaign we run. I am Corey Ziman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, a PPC/advertising agency that's been running for 10 years. We guarantee results for our clients. That is actual profitable results before we take our management fees, or more results than you had before. We're the only agency on the planet who offers any kind of guarantee at all, let alone a profit guarantee, that is. So the information, therefore, I'm sharing with you here is coming from somebody who actually knows what they're doing, not just pulling information out of their... Ultimately, as well, I've been doing online advertising for businesses that I've also ran on the side for 20 years. So I have literally 20 years of experience, remarketing experience, because I've done remarketing since day one. I've got it, whereas most people haven't gotten it. And I've been able to collect on this for 20 freaking years now. So this is so valuable if you were questioning remarketing, how to get it to work, does it work? You absolutely need to see this video all the way to the end, and then I'll tell you how much you can make from it in detail if you watch to the end of the video, depending on what type of market you're in. I will cover that. So make sure you watch all the way through in terms of actual ROI and profit numbers. With that said, I'll go into this actual case study with the med spa, which if you don't know what a med spa is, it's basically like one of those places where you can get a vampire facial or PRP, platelet injections and stuff like that to make you, it's like an anti-aging clinic or what have you. It's pretty big now. It's actually gotten very popular in the recent past, and it's continuing to get more popular because people that have money have more money than ever to spend, and there's no more middle class anymore. So, and the people that have all the money are older. So, with that said, okay, so I talked about how remarketing really should be layered. If you're going to get the full value from it, most of the value from it, you got to layer your strategy. If otherwise it's just like saying that you're going to go run a Google search campaign and target 2 keywords in broad match versus 100 keywords in exact match. The nuance in what you're doing and understanding that this keyword you should be spending the most possible on it to show every single time, and this one you should be bidding a little bit so that it shows sometimes if the clicks are cheap in order to get the more overall profit from the total searches in your space. Remarketing is going to be the same way, and not only that, but you're going to hit a bottleneck with what you're doing on your search campaigns, driving traffic to your site if you don't understand remarketing, because it's only going to convert at such and such rate. And there's only so many people in market for what you sell. So unless you're good at finding customers who aren't actively in market and raising their hand and saying they want what they want from you, it only makes sense to do what you can from the people that are already ready to buy. That is running a search on Google, finding what it is that you sell, and you want to get all the value from that you can. And remarketing is where you're going to get the other half of your sales with an effective remarketing campaign, unless you're selling something that people make a decision on right away or nothing at all, or won't make a decision to buy at all, like I talked about earlier. So with this med spa, we had Bing and Google search campaigns, which, by the way, you should always run both. If something works on Google, it works on Bing. Then we had the remarketing set up to go along with this. And with that, the layered approach that we took here was we tried remarketing to just everybody who hits the site in general. If they had air in their lungs, we remarketed to them. Then we also set up a separate remarketing audience to running ads on YouTube, Facebook, demand gen campaigns, by the way, which is where you should run remarketing at the very least. With that said, we had targeted people that if they've been to the site for more than 2 minutes or they've been to the site multiple times, they were in a separate audience for targeting. Somebody who obviously has been on the site for 2 minutes is going to be more likely to convert in the future, obviously. So we want to target them specifically and just in general see what they convert at, because maybe that's all that's profitable to us, and just targeting anybody that comes to our site may not be profitable, which, by the way, was the exact case where we had in this situation. That was the case where we only got a average 0.14% conversion rate to a booking itself on the client's website, remarketing to everybody. Whereas we narrowed this down to people who've been to the site 2 minutes or been to the site more than once, that immediately jumped to a 0.6. So we're talking over 4 times more higher conversion rate just by making that one small little tweak. Obviously, it gives us about 20% of the people that we started with to remarket to, but at least the conversion rate's decent. And this actually was profitable for us because obviously the clicks are going to cost the same, roughly speaking, if we target the people that we know nothing about versus the people who have had a higher level of engagement. Respectively, the people with higher level of engagement are going to click through the ad at a higher rate, which the cost per click is going to come down. So you're actually going to make more ROI from that audience 2 ways, lower cost per click and higher conversion rates. We also set up an audience for people who got to turn into a lead already, but were unable to respond to them, or they were a no-show, okay? Very few people actually do just what I'm talking about. If somebody turns into a lead and they don't respond, they just give up on them, which is dumb. And you should actually, it's not impossible to do this, we do it all the time, where you should set up an audience so if somebody turns into a lead but they did not buy, so you have a customer suppression list. As soon as somebody becomes a customer, they stop being on this list of people that turn into a lead. And so you market to your leads until they actually come in and they plunk down their money. That's the highest value people that you can target, at least that aren't already customers. Why aren't you doing this? At the very least, if you don't think remarketing works, that absolutely will work because they're just a small touch away from making a purchase. If you're doing e-commerce, the equivalent of that is cart visitors. Our most profitable campaigns we run is cart abandonment campaigns. In order to do it right and get the full value out of what you're doing, you got to offer them a discount Did you forget your cart order? Get 5% off by checking out now. Good for the next 60 minutes. Use cart 5. That's our typical ad that we would run for that in order to get the most people to click through our ad there. And when they buy, they fall off that remarketing list. But that's what you basically want to do. Okay. In the situation with this med spa, once somebody fills out a form, you can actually create a remarketing audience based upon what they submitted as a form field. Gets a little technical setting that up, but when somebody was asking for a PRP treatment itself, like I mentioned before, we would have them, and they filled out the form, we would have them on one list, whereas if they were looking for a vampire facial, then we would have them on another list. And so that we can actually target them so that once they fill out the form and they haven't bought yet, they'll see the ad for the service that they were initially interested in, which is going to make it way more, you're going to get a way higher click-through rate than just saying, hey, we're running a special in general. Because that audience is so responsive and so valuable. And you could start out just by targeting them regardless of you knowing anything about them, other than they turn into a lead already. But you'll get at least twice as much click-through once you mention whatever service or product they were initially interested in. So we did that. We also had an audience for customers. Once they actually become a customer, then we had an audience. We had an audience for people who bought more than once, which is even more valuable to market to. And then we went ahead and created an audience for people who bought more than once, but also bought within the last 30 days, which is even more valuable of an audience to target, because when people buy something, they're more likely to buy again if they bought recently, which makes sense, right? If you had a customer that bought 2 years ago and somebody who bought 30 days ago, it's going to be way easier to sell them something else to the person who's bought 30 days ago, right? Unless you're talking about something where you legitimately, there's no legitimate reason that they would need to buy, and then buy again within 30 days, like a air conditioning recharge service. They only need that thing once every year or two, and that's it. I mean, so you wouldn't do that necessarily in that case. With that said, and then basically the way that this works is, to do remarketing right, you got to have a relevant message. You either are going to, depending on what you're selling, are going to focus on selling the credibility of your offer, testimonials, your average review rating on Google, a side-by-side comparison comparing your product to all the other price competitive products. You do video testimonials. You find different ways to get that person who got to your site that is basically in market for what you're selling. Otherwise, they wouldn't have came to your site in the first place. And you get them the rest of the way there, and you rotate out a bunch of ads for them, because each ad that they see gets them a little bit closer to a purchase. So all the ads kind of, if you will, work together. And then with that though, the more effective way to do the remarketing, so you think credibility is a bigger issue, you focus more so on that, and you sprinkle in a special that says, hey, we're running a promo this month. If you want to buy, we're going to give you 20% off this month. After this month, you're not going to be able to get that. And then that serves as a strong call to action that works together with the ads that say what your testimonials are and so forth. They work together. If people just trust you anyway, and that trust isn't so much an issue, then you're just going to go to them with the promo like we did with the med spa. Christmas special. Get 20% off anything that you want in the store. That's what we did for all visitors to the site. We did the same thing for people who've been to the site at least 2 minutes or multiple times. For the people that were turned into leads but haven't actually purchased yet from us, we had the Christmas special, but we said Christmas special on the service that they were interested in itself, like I talked about before. Then we had a customer appreciation offer for people that were customers already to say, we're going to give you 20% off anything else in our clinic, in our office that you might be interested in for Christmas or for this month only. But just to say thank you to our customers. I love customer appreciation sales. They really make people feel like, I'm so important. So we did that. We did the same customer appreciation offer for the multi-buyers, and we did the same customer appreciation offer for people that bought multiple times and then also bought at least within the last 30 days. The results here are as follows. So I talked about how we were getting a 0.14% conversion rate on all visitors to the site. And then that jumped to 0.6% for people that have been to the site more than 2 minutes or multiple times. The people that had turned into a lead but have not purchased yet outright got us up to a 2.7% conversion rate on our clicks. Then the ad that we were running to customers, we got a 2.9%, which that jump from people that are leads that haven't purchased yet to people who are already customers but have only bought in once, it's not that great, which tells you that people that have turned into a lead or got to your cart and abandoned it are highly, highly, highly profitable to go after. If you're not using a strategy to go after them exclusively, you're just pissing away a ton of money, legitimately. It's like saying, if you had a car dealership and you had people come in and they say, what's the price of this? Oh, get me the paperwork. And then you came out with the paperwork and they're like, okay, just give me a minute. My wife just called and she said that I need to come home real quick. And then you just say, okay, whatever. Guess we'll just wait to see if it comes in. You call them up and you chase them down until you get the purchase from them still. But yeah, people don't do this with online remarketing. They just, basically what people want to do, because they're freaking lazy, is they'll have one ad out there that says buy from us. And then they'll show that ad 50,000 times to them. And that's all they'll do. Like, the customer gives about what you're saying. You got to give them something. Your goal, to bottom line it, is to have an ad that if you're going to say anything to them at all, you want them to say, damn, I'm very happy that I saw that. Whether that's a side-by-side product comparison, whether that's a discount offer, whatever it is. And if you can't, and if they're not saying that and you don't visualize them saying that, then you don't actually advertise and spend money to get it in front of them. / come up with something that's actually interesting, because you're not going to get these kind of conversion rates when you do the half-ass, hey, do you want to buy? No, how about now? No, how about now? No, how about now? That lazy people, people want to put the minimum work in to make a sale, and that's what they want, and they delude themselves, whereas the consumer doesn't give a crap about what you're saying, or any ads in general, unless it helps them. Multi-buyers. Okay, now when we get into people who bought more than once, our conversion rate was 5.25% with our 20% off customer appreciation offer. So big jump there. That shows you right there how much of a difference it makes when somebody buys from you multiple times. A one-off purchase, that those customers, it's a toss-up whether or not they're going to buy from you again. But once they've bought more than once, especially when they've bought at least 3 times, the likelihood that they're going to stay buying from you in the future and any future purchases go through you is, quite good at that point in time, obviously. But at that point in time, it's proven that if they've bought from you more than once, they really liked what you had to offer. So a discount on another purchase, that's obviously just going to really resonate right away. And then finally here, the most results we got was for the recent multi-buyers. Somebody who's bought multiple times and came in for a treatment within the last 30 days on top of it. We got a 7.1% conversion rate on our offer. Depending on how engaged that they were, you can expect a higher conversion rate, just like I have shown on this video here and on this case study. So the key thing is, and I want to also mention here, if you want to get similar numbers for yourself, you can't be loading up your site with junk traffic. If you run sloppy campaigns on the front end and 80% of people who get to your site aren't qualified, you're not going to get the numbers you want here in terms of your conversion rates on your remarketing ads. Okay? Second to that, if you run ads on Google Display Network, which is fraught with bot traffic mostly, unless you know how to target single sites that have better quality traffic on them, as I mentioned on my channel here before many times, you're not going to get these conversion rates either. YouTube and demand gen campaigns, which you can also do through Google, which are ads that get you on on Gmail and on YouTube, are just as good a quality as running ads on Facebook because there's no bots, or practically speaking, no bots. So that's where you want to start. And if you can get it to work, you can try Google Display Network and boost your profit. If you're going to go through all the work here, you might as well try that out if you can get that to work as well, which most of the time we do actually add Google Display Network in there as well with our overall remarketing strategy, because we know remarketing actually serves as the base to get new traffic that we're driving into the site to convert. A lot of people think remarketing as its own channel. No, you think of your whole customer journey and what you're doing to get them to buy, and you have to create a sales funnel. You got to get their attention. You got to get them to their site. and keep their attention as long as you can, knowing that most people aren't going to buy right away. And then you have to do a whole bunch of stuff after that to actually finish getting them to the rest of the way of feeling confident to buy. And a lot of times that takes 90 days, 180 days of constantly staying with them. And most of the time, people, when they're deciding to buy, like I said, they're not going to just consider you. And people hate making the wrong decision. So many people will just delay their purchase if they don't need it right away because they don't want to be wrong. And there'll be a day that they can't delay anymore. And if you're thought of, it's going to be because you're remembered, and you're going to be remembered if you followed up with them. And if you remarket to them in a way that's helpful, not only are they going to remember you, but they're going to remember all the reasons why they should buy, which amps up the effectiveness of the remarketing to begin with on top of everything else. Let alone the frequency of the remarketing will make them think of you first. And if they think of you first, they're going to think of you as the authority. And if they want to buy the most trusted option and not just the cheapest option, they're going to buy from the authority. So just the repetition of the brand in front of them over and over again, when they go to buy, they're going to automatically then think that you're the biggest, baddest company in the space, and so they should just go with you. That's how you get your sales. So it's not, yes, you'll get direct sales through your ads, but the bigger picture, the way that you should be really thinking about this is, it's going to get somebody that was going to delay and make sure you get that purchase, the outcome to be you at a much higher percentage than if you didn't do any follow-up. And a lot of these ads don't have the highest conversion rate because they saw it, they weren't ready to buy then. They saw it, they clicked through the ad. Ideally, on the other side of the ad, if you talk about testimonials, you send them to a page with all the rest of your testimonials on it, gets them just a bit further to making a purchase, or makes it a bit more likely that they go with you when they're ready to purchase. And then the next ad that they click on does the same thing. And then about it as the more ads you can convince them to click on, the more likely, and the more times you get them back to the site, the more likely going to buy from you either right away when they click on the ad or when they eventually are ready to purchase. That's the way the actual pros that are doing remarketing are going to think about it. And that's very few people. Most people want to see, I run a remarketing ad, they click through and buy right away. And if they don't, the ad doesn't work. And if that was the case, billboard ads would never work. Every single idiot that runs a billboard ad would be just that, an idiot. When reality is, if you've seen something on a billboard, when you go to buy, you're going to be more likely to buy from that company because you've thought it seems like the brand. If you've got your traffic going into your site and it's very tight, that is, you got would-be buyers here that are going to be buying in the near future, and you get the opportunity just to have a effective billboard, if you will, show up just for them, how is it not a good policy to stay in front of these people that are going to be buying from somebody, either you or somebody else, for the next 2 or 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever? That's how you should be thinking about it. But anyway, with that said, if you're talking about like e-commerce, so these kind of conversion rates here, anything under $500 in cost or price, you can get these kind of numbers if you know how to set up your remarketing ads. It's not out of the question. If you're selling something over $500, then your conversion rate is going to go way down. If you go to 1,000, you could basically, best case scenario, cut all these in half. If it's 2,000, cut it in half again and just keep going. Whereas if you're selling something for $100, it doesn't necessarily go up because it takes less for them to make a decision to buy. So what I would say is if you're not selling something for over $100, you're not going to get that big of an effect from remarketing because they don't think about it very long on average, the serious buyers. So you'll get a marginal gain from it, from your overall, effect on your sales running remarketing, but not very much. The sweet spot is $100 plus, and the more expensive it is of what you sell, the more this is going to affect your return ultimately. Your goal is to get people that are soon to be buying to your site and then remarket to them until they're ready to buy. That's a very effective funnel. And you can extend that to content marketing. You run content, you get them to consume the content, then you remarket your offer to them until they're ready to buy. And which is a little bit different than taking a person who is already going to buy, and getting them to your site and then remarket to them. You can get people familiar with you through content marketing, and then remarket to them until they're ready to buy if they're going to buy. That's another way to make remarketing obviously work for you. But anyway, respectively, we've had where we've worked with a printing company that does like flyer printing and all that. And the kind of just the conversion rates that we got from the Facebook campaign were similar to this. I'm trying to think some other examples I can give you where these numbers were basically right where we were at. In the auto parts space, we've also had similar conversion rates. That is, it was a brand that sells different components, and similar to that, people that would buy one component were apt to want to buy another. And we got similar conversion rates here, which is something I should bring up. That is, if you sell a bunch of stuff, and they can buy from you, often, multiple times, and are apt to buy multiple times, this really works because, obviously, the simple way to put this is to say, if once you've sold something to them and whatever you said that they would get, you met their expectations, it's not very hard to sell to them again with another ad, with another pitch for another item or service. Very few people do this. It's way easier than you think, especially if you can offer an incentive for trying it out. However, here, when we're talking about, let's say, foundation repair services, even though that's expensive, these conversion rates is not what you're going to get, even when you're talking about conversion rates from click to lead. Why? Because there's not a lot of compelling reason to respond to the ads right away. You can run these ads and it might be 1% of the people, even if they're engaged at a high level, they've been to the site more than 2 times, of people clicking through that are going to actually call or turn into a form lead. The reason for that is actually fairly simple. They don't actually need a lot of help in deciding whether or not they're going to hire a foundation repair company. If they're ready to do it, even though it's expensive and they do have to think about it for a while, they're just going to go to Google and they're going to check the reviews, and that's pretty much it. They don't need to know all the 47 reasons why you are better than the other companies. Now, granted, you will get some lift, okay? But what it will help you do, though, which is the reason why you still do it, is when they get a quote, it's going to help you increase the closing rate on the quotes that you get. They're going to ultimately, get a quote from several other vendors, and then they got to pick one. If you've been following up constantly with your testimonials or reviews, that kind of thing, they're going to go with you at a higher rate. What they're not going to do is click through and turn into a lead. So you're not going to be able to see a high conversion rate. And this is where people get messed up. They don't see somebody clicking through that testimonial ad and turning into a lead. But that's not where the opportunity is. The opportunity is in getting people who are about ready to purchase to make sure that they're going with you at a higher rate, and you won't see that in the conversion tracking that you can do. Or should I say, you could actually import conversions about that purchase into your ad account, if you will. Certainly you could do that, but it's not. They're not going to click through the lead and ad and turn it into a lead. It's just going to increase the likelihood that they're going to purchase, and that is the main opportunity with something like that specifically. So if you wanted to prove it to yourself, you would want to track purchases and then import that into your account as an offline conversion, which you can do through offline conversion tracking on Google or through Facebook, and track things that way. But you will absolutely see on a high ticket item like that, we're going to see the closing rate at least go up 30-40%, if not double, just simply by having remarketing ads that just say that we've been featured on the news and we got this award and we got this video testimonial from a customer and this rating on Yelp, and just with reason after reason after reason why we're the most trusted company. Certain people will just go for the cheapest price. But if they're not going for the cheapest price, they're going for the most trusted. And the best way to drill that into their head is through remarketing. Anyway, if you want somebody to set you up a killer funnel for your remarketing like this is exactly what I do at our firm. You can reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. I'd be happy to set it up for you and offer a guarantee if we're going to work together. We offer a free consultation if you reach out to us at guaranteeppc.com, and I'll talk to you about the opportunity. We also sell ad templates. We've worked in over 100 niche markets. If we already worked in your niche space that you are operating in, you will definitely be benefited by, even if you want to manage your own ads, not work with an ad agency, taking the winning ads, landing pages, all of it that work for your niche, as well as the campaigns, copy paste those into your account and get the same results we're getting in terms of cost per lead or ROI or ROAS, without having to go through all the struggle that we did over years most of the time to get to a really good end result with our ads. And for what we charge for them, you're not going to save money not buying the template. And we would tell you the results you'd get with it up front, of course, before you bought it. So you would know exactly what you stand to gain. So at the very least, you should reach out to us and see if we worked in your space. And as long as we're not in the same geographic area, as you, that is our clients in the same geographic area as you right now, then there's no conflict of interest. You can use whatever we're using in another city for you or in a different country also, because we got e-commerce templates, so we could sell an item that our client sells in country A. They're never going to sell it in country B. You can use it to sell in country B really easily. Or we got people that sell leads even. They, foundation repair leads, if you want to sell those, we got a template that generates them for $100 or less. People will buy those. And there's a way you can just start a whole business around the template itself because of that. Or if you wanted to start a business, that's literally is the easiest way to do it. You start around an ad template system that already produces an ROI in a different location. It's already proven. So anyway, if you're interested in that opportunity, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. And go to my portfolio, my site, on my banner ad portfolio on guaranteedppc.com. You can see example after example after example of remarketing ads that get really good results. You should check that out. I also, by the way, have a blog that you should check out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you subscribe, because the information that I'm giving you on this channel, I promise you, is not going to get any better anywhere else if you're serious about making millions of dollars running ads for your business. But I also have even better advice and information on my blog with actual step-by-step instructions to use the use the campaigns we use to guarantee results for our clients. If you like the channel, you're going to like that blog as well. But that pretty much sums it up. If you have any questions, by the way, about anything I covered, you can leave me a comment in the comment section. I get back to every single person that leaves me a question or comment within 24 hours time, typically. And it can be a question about anything you would like, technically. Any marketing, ad-related question. Doesn't have to be about remarketing necessarily. I love giving back to my viewers. You're the reason why the channel grows in the first place. I think I owe that to you. The main thing is, to sum all this up, is that you make sure when you do your marketing, either have something important to say or don't do it at all. Have different messages depending on what you know about the user. If they're looking for a certain product, you talk about that product. If they got to the cart and they abandoned, you talk about that. If they're a customer already, you talk about that you appreciate them as a customer, not just as an everyday Joe Schmo person. And you will do well with your remarketing the money that you're spending on it. And practically speaking, if you're not spending 5 to 10% of your overall ad budget on remarketing in an e-commerce space, you're not getting nowhere near the total return you can get. And if you're in non-e-commerce, it should seriously be like 10 to 20%, because like I said, closed leads at a high rate, they'll close at a much higher rate if you actually follow up with all the reasons why you're the biggest, baddest company, like I talked about with the example with the foundation repair company. And if you want the results, that's what you need to do. And you need to segment everything so that you can actually single out, maybe the remarketing to people who are not customers yet are not profitable, but remarketing to customers is, so we'll just focus on that. And with your tracking and you layer it, you'll know how aggressive you can go with remarketing before you're not getting the return you want. The best way to tell if you got a return or not is to do the remarketing and see how it affects your overall sales, because it's going to, the great thing about remarketing is it helps everything convert better on the back end. And there's something called marketing efficiency ratio, where you find out the ratio of total sales at your company divided by total ad spend that you want, and you'll find acceptable. Let's say increase your ad budget 10% overall, building out this really good remarketing funnel like I talked about here, and then see if your total sales go up. And that's really the best way to see if it all works, because like I said, a lot of this is just, it influences the user, especially since a lot of people will see the banner ad on the side of a website. They're not going to even click on it, but they saw your testimonial on there. They thought it was cool. It got into their head, and then that in and itself got the person more likely to buy when they got paid or when they were ready to buy, and when they went to Google, typed in your brand name, and went through and bought. And you just don't see that at all through the metrics. So something to consider. Anyway, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Remember when I said remarketing was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.